Carnivorous plants. You've seen them in movies and video games, but you might not know how real they are. I assure you, carnivorous plants exist, and believe it or not, they eat animals. From a plant with a peculiar pitcher-like shape, capable of consuming mice and birds, to the famous carnivorous plant we all know that can also devour animals. Here are 15 deadly carnivorous plants that eat animals. But before we get started, subscribe now, before I become famous. Number 15. Tropical pitcher plant. With its alluring nectar and vibrant colors, the tropical pitcher plant is a visually striking yet deceptively dangerous carnivore. This wily plant uses sweet scents and appealing hues to draw unsuspecting insects to their doom within its deadly traps. While they appear harmless at first glance, these cunning killers are some of the most effective hunters in the plant kingdom. The majority of trapped animals are insects, but larger tropical pitcher species have been known to consume rats, lizards, frogs, and even birds. With pitchers growing over a foot wide, even small mammals can fall victim. So how does this bug-eating machine work? First, the colorful, nectar-oozing pitchers lure insects to the rim. The sweet scent acts like a siren song for bugs, drawing them even nearer to their demise. As they explore the tantalizing nectaries, the unwitting insects lose their footing on the slippery rim and plunge into the pitcher's depths. The hapless victims find themselves in a chamber of horrors. Thousands of waxy glandules line the pitcher's walls, secreting the digestive fluids that will slowly dissolve the insects' bodies. And while some victims meet their end by drowning, the enzyme cocktail inside the pitcher delivers the final death blow by breaking down soft tissues. Within the soupy contents of the pitcher, nutrients are extracted from the prey and absorbed by the plant. A morbid meal, but an effective means of nourishment for the pitcher plant. With adaptations perfected over millennia, the tropical pitcher plant is transformed from photosynthesizer to consumer. It dines on life forms that once dined on it, completing the circle of life in the most savage way imaginable. In the plant kingdom, where nearly all energy flows from the sun, the carnivorous pitcher plant follows its own deadly path, proving that sometimes the most beautiful things bring the swiftest death. Number 14. Western Australian pitcher plant. While the tropical pitcher plant ensnares its victims in hanging vase-like traps, its carnivorous cousin from down under employs a much sneakier method. Hailing from the swamps of southern Australia, the Western Australian pitcher plant conceals its flesh-eating proclivities behind an innocent appearance. Emerald leaves seem to lazily hug the boggy ground, giving no hint to the hidden horrors within, for this is no harmless houseplant. The innocuous leaves disguise gaping pits filled with digestive fluids, ready to dissolve any hapless insect drawn into their clutches. Lured by glistening drops of nectar along the rim, ants swarm towards the waiting mouth, eager to partake of these sweet secretions. But danger lurks beneath the surface. With the slightest misstep, victims plunge into the pit, sliding helplessly down its smooth, waxy walls toward inevitable demise. Some hapless ants even tumble in while collecting droplets of alluring nectar from the leaf's underside, betraying no sign of struggle as they fall prey to the unseen carnage below. And the Western Australian pitcher plant's appetite isn't limited to tiny insects alone. Larger specimens are capable of trapping and consuming mice, frogs, and even snakes that stumble into their clutches. Much like its tropical cousin, the giant maws of this lethal botanical predator can turn a small animal into liquefied nutrients in a matter of days. Yet for all its vicious appetite, the Western Australian pitcher plant harbors a softer side as well. Its pitchers play host to an exclusive species of stilt fly that lives nowhere else in the world. The plant provides a sheltered haven for the flies to safely breed and hatch their larvae. In return, the fly larvae feast on captured insects drowned in the pitcher's pool of fluids. A gruesome arrangement, yet both species profit from the grisly alliance. Number 13. Bladderwort. With over 200 species worldwide, the bladderwort is one of the largest genera of carnivorous plants on Earth. These aquatic plants may seem delicate, but their tiny traps pack a deadly punch to unsuspecting prey. Picture a pond filled with strands of green spaghetti. This tangled mess beneath the water is a floating bladderwort plant. At first glance, it appears harmless, but hidden among its thread-like leaves are hundreds of lethal sacs waiting for victims. These small pouches function like mini monster mouths, actively sucking in water fleas, mosquito larvae, and even tiny fish. Once triggered, the trap door snaps open, creating a vacuum that instantly sucks the prey inside for digestion. The hapless animal is consumed within hours, nutrients absorbed as the ever-hungry plant resets its trap. The trigger hairs lining the trap are extremely sensitive, springing at the slightest touch. Researchers have discovered the traps can open and close in less than 1/100 of a second, faster than the blink of an eye. Inside the trap, glands release enzymes to dissolve the prey, aiding the plant's carnivorous digestion. Bladderworts thrive in nutrient-poor waters, gaining nitrogen and phosphorus from such sinister snacks. Their underwater stems lack roots, instead anchoring via trailing shoots. Beneath its benign exterior, the bladderwort is a lean, mean-eating machine. Tiny, versatile, and lightning fast, it's earned its place among the deadliest carnivorous plants on Earth. Unexpected, unsuspecting prey never stand a chance against this relentless underwater predator. Number 12. Water wheel plant. Unlike the aquatic bladderwort, which uses a vacuum trap, the water wheel plant is a true snap trap, making it one of the most fascinating carnivorous plants on Earth. This deadly underwater Venus flytrap can devour small fish and tadpoles in the blink of an eye. The water wheel consists of a stem with whorls of set leaves resembling a feather boa floating just below the water's surface. At the end of each submerged leaf is a tiny translucent clamshell trap ready to snap shut at lightning speed when prey touches sensitive hairs inside. Razor-sharp teeth line the edges, locking together to prevent escape. The trap squeezes out the water, bathing the doomed creature in digestive juices to dissolve its soft tissues into an absorbable soup. This ingenious plant is actually a living fossil, with ancestors dating back 50 million years. The water wheel has evolved one of the fastest movements in the plant kingdom. Its traps slam shut on mosquito larvae in just between 10 and 20 milliseconds. The water wheel is found sparsely across Europe, Asia, Africa, and Australia, but while globally distributed, its habitat is extremely specific: shallow, acidic, nutrient-poor waters. This finicky nature, coupled with wetland destruction, has led to its extinction across much of its native range. Out of over 400 known populations since the 18th century, fewer than 50 remain. Number 11. Trigger plant. With lightning speed, the trigger plant ensnares its prey. This unique carnivorous plant lies in wait for unsuspecting insects, tempting them with nectar. Once they land, in an instant, the trigger plant attacks. Its sensitive hair trigger shoots pollen at the insect, latching onto its legs and wings. The bug struggles to escape, but it's too late. Smothered in sticky mucus, the insect takes its final breaths as it's digested alive. The trigger plant's a horror of the botanical world. Found mainly in Australia, these devious flowers have evolved an ingenious way to reproduce and feed themselves. Their column-shaped reproductive organs act as a sensitive trap. When an insect disturbs the flower, the column swiftly swings up and slaps pollen onto the bug's body. Different trigger plant species strike different parts of the insect's body, cleverly avoiding pollinating each other. After firing, the column slowly resets itself to strike again. But the trigger plant's villainy doesn't end there. Lining its stem and flower parts are tiny tentacle-like hairs that ooze mucus. Drawn in by nectar, insects get entangled in this mucus and are unable to escape. Slowly, they're dissolved by enzymes as the plant absorbs its nutrients. Number 10. Sundew. With its sticky, sweet-smelling tentacles, the sundew is one of the most diabolical yet fascinating carnivorous plants on Earth. Luring prey with drops of sugary nectar that glisten like morning dew, the sundew's tiny leaves are dotted with hundreds of red tentacles, each topped with a glistening bead. When an unsuspecting insect lands on a leaf to sip the nectar, these tentacles suddenly spring to life. Sticking fast like superglue, they trap the hapless victim in their clutches. The more the insect struggles, the more tentacles join in, smothering it in a tangled mess. Within minutes, the sundew leaf coils tightly around the captured prey, sealing its fate. Unable to move or breathe, the insect succumbs quickly to exhaustion and suffocation. Powerful enzymes then dissolve the soft tissues, allowing the sundew to suck out the nutritious juices. Only the dry exoskeleton remains after this gruesome feast. Found in bogs and wetlands worldwide, over 150 sundew species exist, ranging from ground-hugging rosettes to vines over 3 meters long. Their habitats are typically poor in nutrients like nitrogen, so carnivory gives sundews a leg up in the competition. Mosquitoes, flies, beetles, no minuscule crawler is safe from a sundew's sticky embrace. Sundews reproduce through seeds or plantlets that sprout from their roots and leaves. Beyond their eating habits, some species are quite beautiful, bearing delicate white or pink flowers. Number 9. King sundew. While the sundew ensnares tiny insects, its larger relative, the king sundew, traps even frogs with its massive tentacled leaves up to 28 inches long. Found only in South Africa, the king sundew unfurls a deadly carpet of glistening red tentacles, each dropping with sweet nectar. Lured into this trap, juicy prey quickly finds themselves engulfed by the plant's clinging embrace. The hapless victim thrashes about, but only becomes more hopelessly entangled as the leaf dramatically coils around it like a boa constrictor. It smothers its prey in enzymes that liquefy the body into an oozing soup absorbed through the leaf. Only the dried husk remains after this gruesome feast, but the king sundew's massive size comes with a cost. Its limited habitat leaves it critically endangered. With woody underground stems and unusual flowers on tall stalks, this ancient plant diverged evolutionarily from its cousins long ago, yet both plants share the ingenious traps that make sundews such successful carnivores. In bogs poor in nutrients, devouring insects gives them an advantage over other plants. The king sundew simply takes this evolutionary strategy to royal proportions. Number 8. Cobra lily. With hollow hooded leaves that twist skyward like flared cobras poised to strike, the aptly named cobra lily ensnares its prey in a mesmerizing death trap. This bizarre carnivorous plant, found only in parts of California and Oregon, lures insects with its hypnotic appearance and tantalizing nectar. Emerging from the boggy soil, the cobra lily's tubular leaves coil upward in a graceful yet ominous spiral. Their swollen hoods curl under to conceal the entrance, while translucent patches create the illusion of scales across the leaf surface. A forked, tongue-like leaf dangles below the opening, glistening with drops of sweet nectar. This irresistible lure proves fatal for any insect drawn in by its scent. Seduced by the promise of a sugary treat, flies and bees alight on the forked leaf, enjoying the nectar. As they explore, the insects discover the opening to the plant's hooded tube, partially obscured by the curled leaf. Slipping inside, they find the translucent patches did not lead back out, but only serve to confuse and disorient. After repeatedly bumping into false exits, the exhausted insect tumbles helplessly down the tube. Inside the pitcher, tiny hairs line the surface, pointing downward to prevent any escape. The desperate insect eventually drowns in the pool of fluid accumulating at the bottom. The cobra lily then absorbs nutrients from the slowly decomposing body through specialized cells. Though lacking digestive enzymes, it relies on bacteria to help break down its prey. Through these devious means, the cobra lily supplements its nutrient-poor diet with insects and other small animals. Number 7. Butterworts. With its innocent appearance and alluring purple flowers, you'd never suspect the butterwort of being a vicious carnivore. Yet this devious plant lures unsuspecting insects to their doom. Once an insect lands on its sticky leaves, it's all over. The butterwort traps them in a vice-like grip, sealing their fate. Slowly, the leaf edges curl inward, smothering the struggling bug in digestive juices. The butterwort shows no mercy, breaking down its prey until only the exoskeleton remains. The butterwort survives in nutrient-poor bogs by supplementing its diet with fresh meat. Since flies and other insects are attracted to its bright colors, the butterwort takes advantage of their interest. It passively traps anything foolish enough to land on its leaves. The leaf glands pump out enzyme-filled mucus, melting the insect into an ooze that gets sucked back into the plant. The butterwort simply does what it must to thrive in harsh environments. It relies on its bright petals to lure prey within striking distance. Once caught, escape is impossible. Number 6. Pinguicula primuliflora. The Pinguicula primuliflora may look innocent with its cheerful daisy-like flowers, but don't be fooled. This carnivorous plant ensnares insects with sweet secretions from its leaves. While its cousin, the butterwort, relies on passively trapping accidental victims, the Pinguicula primuliflora takes a more villainous approach. It cunningly attracts insects, tricking them into becoming nourishment. These sugary droplets lure unsuspecting prey, tempting them to walk across the fatal foliage. Once an insect sips the tantalizing nectar, tiny hairs emerge, trapping the bug in sticky mucus. As the unfortunate bug is smothered in digestive juices, the Pinguicula primuliflora leaches nitrogen from its dissolving body. This supplements the plant's nutrient-poor diet, allowing it to thrive in the harsh bogs it calls home. Behind its facade of beauty, the Pinguicula primuliflora is a two-faced killer, fooling prey with false advertisements of nectar. It proves that in the plant world, appearances can be deceiving. Number 5. Biblis. Glistening in the sun, the rainbow plants of the genus Biblis ensnare their prey with sticky tentacles. Native to Australia, Biblis deploy 2 types of glands on their elongated leaves to capture insects. Stalked glands secrete sweet, sparkling droplets that tempt insects, while digestive glands dissolve the helpless victims once trapped. Though Biblis don't curl their leaves around the prey like the sundew, their sticky flypaper traps suffocate insects until dead. Biblis primarily dine on small insects like gnats, but researchers have found much larger invertebrates in their clutches, even small lizards. The rainbow plant's appetite knows no bounds. Anything that crawls or flies near is fair game. To supplement their carnivorous cravings, Biblis also photosynthesize, producing striking purple flowers. But beware, the alluring blossoms conceal sinister motives. As bees gather pollen, they risk becoming ensnared themselves. Biblis shows no mercy, even to its pollinators. Growing in bogs and marshes across Australia, Biblis thrive in their waterlogged homeland. But their beauty captivates cultivators worldwide. So bewitching, yet so deadly, Biblis perfectly blend beauty and bloodlust. Number 4. Yellow Pitcher Plant. The slender yellow trumpets of the yellow pitcher plant beckon you closer with their sweet nectar, but beware, this beauty is a beast. Unlike the wide vase-like pitchers of its tropical cousin, which drown insects in pools of water, the yellow pitcher has a much more sinister way of feeding itself. Its elongated leaves form tall, hollow tubes up to 3 feet high, flaring open into the mouth-like openings rimmed with tempting nectar glands. Drawn by the sugary scent, curious insects explore further, sliding down the waxy funnel interior. Once inside, downward-pointed hairs prevent their escape. The plump morsels fall helplessly into the depths where enzymes and bacteria churn away, digesting them into an ooze of nutrients for the plant to absorb. While the yellow pitcher's tube-shaped leaves catches mainly ants, flies, beetles, and even frogs in its vat-like trap, the tropical pitcher can consume much larger prey like rats, lizards, and even birds. The graceful yellow trumpets sprout from wet savannas and pine bogs across the southeastern United States, hoarding nutrients from poor acidic soils. Their nodding yellow flowers bloom in spring, later producing seed capsules, though spreading rhizome buds often propagate new clones. Number 3. Hooded Pitcher Plant. Unlike its towering yellow cousin, the hooded pitcher plant hides a deadly secret behind its petite size. At just 1 to 2 feet tall, its hooded pitchers seem charmingly tiny until you peer inside. The hooded pitcher's tube-shaped leaves are masters of deception. Their openings are fringed with sweet nectar, tempting insects to venture further inside. An overhanging canopy hoods the top like a cloak, blocking any upward escape. Panicked bugs fly towards the back wall, where translucent windows promise a way out, but it's all a ruse. The windows are just clear patches on the trap, and any insect crashing into them slips helplessly down the smooth interior. Downward-pointing hairs ensure no crawling out either. The hapless insect plunges into a pool of digestive fluid at the bottom, where enzymes dissolve its body into nutrients for the sly plant. The hooded pitcher's innocent appearance masks a crafty killing contraption. This pint-sized predator ensnares many ants and flies, unlike its yellow cousin, which consumes larger beetles and even frogs. So don't be deceived by its humble height and hooded facade. Its sweet and stealthy traps may seem tiny, but they're utterly ruthless. Number 2. Brocchinia reducta. Hidden in the lush rainforests of South America lurks a devious carnivorous plant known as Brocchinia reducta. At first glance, this bromeliad may look harmless with its brightly colored yellow leaves forming a rosette cup. Make no mistake, this is a meat-eater disguised in an innocent flower-like form. The Brocchinia reducta has evolved clever tricks to lure unsuspecting insects into its clutches. Its leaves are coated in a waxy, ultraviolet reflective powder that draws in insects like a bug zapper. It also releases a sweet, intoxicating nectar scent that acts like an irresistible perfume to lure its prey closer. Once an insect gets close enough, the loose, slippery scales on the leaves cause the poor bug to lose its footing and tumble helplessly into the plant's water-filled tank formed by its leaf cups. Trapped with no way out, the insect desperately tries to escape, but the smooth, waxy walls offer no grip or foothold. Exhausted from struggling, the insect slowly drowns in the plant's tank, unable to fight any longer. The hapless bug becomes a prisoner of the carnivorous plant, soon to be nothing more than food for it to consume. Special tiny hairs called trichomes line the submerged leaves, allowing Brocchinia reducta to absorb nutrients from the deteriorating insect carcass. This gives the plant the energy it needs to survive in nutrient-deficient environments. Number 1. Venus flytrap. With its jaw-like traps that snap shut on unsuspecting insects, the Venus flytrap is one of the most fascinating carnivorous plants in the world. Native only to North and South Carolina, this meat-eating plant is adapted to thrive in nutrient-poor wetlands by supplementing its diet with ants, spiders, beetles, and even frogs or mice. The traps of the Venus flytrap are actually modified leaves with stiff spines lining the edges. At the base of each trap are sensitive trigger hairs that act like tripwires. When an insect brushes against these hairs, the trap starts to close. 2 touches within 20 seconds of each other triggers the trap to slam shut in 1/10 of a second. The unlucky bug is imprisoned as the stiff spines interlock like prison bars. But the Venus flytrap isn't finished with its victim yet. It counts additional stimulations of the trigger hairs before beginning digestion. The plant wants to make sure it has live prey worthy of eating before wasting energy on an empty trap. After 5 more touches, the fly trap releases digestive fluids to dissolve the soft tissues of the insect into a nutritious broth. About a week later, the trap reopens, ready to lure another bug to its doom. This ingenious carnivorous strategy allows the Venus flytrap to supplement the poor soil where it grows. While the Venus flytrap gets most of its energy from photosynthesis, like other plants, it craves the nitrogen from digested bugs to flourish. The Venus flytrap's traps are also marvels of rapid plant movement. Their jaws can snap shut at speeds up to 100 miles per hour, making them among the fastest examples of plant motion in the world. When triggering occurs, the lobes of the trap flip from a convex to a concave shape, creating suction that helps grasp prey. While menacing to bugs, the Venus flytrap's downright delicate for a plant that eats meat. Poaching, habitat loss, and fire suppression have reduced its small native range by over 90% since the 1970s. Its remaining wetland habitat is threatened by development and climate change. Conservationists have petitioned for the Venus flytrap to receive federal protection under the Endangered Species Act before it's too late. So the next time you're tempted to stick your finger in one of those intriguing traps, remember you're dealing with a highly adapted carnivore on the brink of extinction. Admire it from a distance, and let it keep snapping up bugs instead. By the way, looking adorable and harmless, the platypus is more dangerous than it appears. It's highly venomous. Yes, you heard right. The platypus is a venomous animal. If you want to see other seemingly innocent animals that are extremely venomous, like the surgeonfish, the slow loris, and many more, check out this video. 15 innocent-looking animals that are extremely venomous.